Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back as we continue on this adventure that we call San Diego Comic-Con 2020, or better known as Comic-Con from Home. My name, once again, is Matt, and I am one of the hosts of the Absolute Geek podcast, and I'm coming to you tonight to go ahead and we're going to do a watch-along, a reaction, a review to the Image Comics Spotlight panel where they're supposed to be announcing some big major event crossover that they're pitching to have a star-studded creator cast on. So we're going to bring that panel to you live as it happens, as it's released. I hope everyone's having a great Comic-Con 2020 so far. There's been some great panels. Like I said earlier, on our live stream of the New Mutant stuff, I hope you guys got to see that. That New Mutant stuff was absolutely amazing. I'm so excited for New Mutants. I cannot wait for that movie now. I went from not having really any hopes to that movie to being absolutely out the door excited for it. So can't wait for New Mutants. They did a great Marvel 616 panel talking about their new documentary series that's coming to Disney Plus. Super excited for that as well. But yeah, we're getting ready, just waiting for them to kick off this Image Comics Spotlight. This will probably be our last panel for the evening, but we will be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. kicking off all the panels tomorrow. We have such a lineup of panels. We're going to be live streaming tomorrow. So if you're looking to have a good time at Comic-Con, but you want to feel like you're there with your friends, you want to feel like you're at the convention with fellow con-goers, why don't you come on over here to the Absolute Geek Podcast and watch us live stream as we hang out with some of our fellow podcasters, some of the other cast members of the Absolute Geek Podcast, and we talk about everything that we're seeing. So it's a lot of fun, great time. If you're not familiar with our show and it's your first time to our YouTube page, I want to say welcome. We are a geek and nerd-based podcast out of Phoenix, Arizona. We live stream every Friday night, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, right here on this channel, live on YouTube. And we release our video or our audio versions of the podcast every Monday on all of your podcasting platforms. We are a geek pop culture podcast. We talk about everything from movies, comics, TV shows, you name it. We talk about it. We do interviews. Tomorrow we are lucky enough to be interviewing Scotty Schwartz. He played Flick, the kid who stuck his tongue to a pole in A Christmas Story. So if you want to check out that interview, come out and tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and check out the Absolute Geek Podcast. It's always a great time here with me and my fellow hosts in Kyle, Corbin, and Brian. Oh, it looks like Kyle's actually trying to join in here. Look at this. What's up, Kyle?
What's up?
Coming to watch the Image Comics Spotlight with us?
Sure.
There you go.
Who's us?
I'm live streaming it.
I don't see anybody else.
Well, it's just, I'm talking about us and the people watching the video.
Nobody's watching the video.
You never know, man. Always a good time. Did you watch any of the other Comic-Con panels today?
I was busy.
It's a busy boy.
Oh, look, we're on right now.
Yes, we are.
I didn't know that.
Did you get to see the stuff from the New Mutants yet?
Nope.
Ooh,
Ooh.
it's looking fresh.
Oh, yeah? How so?
Looks really good. They show the first 5 minutes of the movie. And then
It actually looks good.
It actually looks really good. And an extended trailer with all the stuff. It looks super, super good. Definitely excited for that.
So you're going to add it to this so we can see it?
Yeah. I'm going to bring it on to StreamYard and share it so we can see it.
Wow.
No, the advances of technology.
The technology.
It's amazing technology.
Wow. Wow. Thank you, Solo. I know I'm hot.
Solo Wiki. Watching you because Kyle is hot.
Pop my collar.
It's a spicy meatball.
Spicy. It hasn't started yet, or what?
Not yet. No, it starts at 5 o'clock.
Oh, solo. Just let you know, I ordered carpet. I took your advice. I've got carpet on the way. So I think I'm gonna pretty stoked. Should be getting my seats back soon. We'll just save that for tomorrow, though.
Yeah. That's cool. Did you watch the Bill and Ted trailer yet? The new one?
I was busy today. I haven't been able to do anything.
Man, you got a lot to catch up on.
This is the first thing I've been able to do today besides work.
Got a lot to catch up on. Marvel is they're releasing on Disney Plus Marvel 616, a documentary series where they dive into like certain, and it's done by 8 different directors, and they dive into different characters and comic stories and things like that. It looks pretty interesting.
I'll have to. There'll be a reason for me to turn on Disney Plus again.
Resubscribe to Disney Plus.
Your Disney Plus. Has it started yet?
Yep.
Fucking finally.
All right, let's go ahead and get the screen share going with the audio, and we're gonna get ready to watch the Image Comics Spotlight.
It's 43 minutes.
Yep.
It's already done?
No, so they pre-recorded all these, but they don't go live until the time slot given.
Welcome to Image's crossover panel. I am Megan Hutchison, and I am here to introduce the teams that brought you Ghost Fleet, Paybacks, Buzzkill, Redneck, Baby Teeth, Interceptor, Guardians of the Galaxy, Thanos, and God Country. And they are joined once again to create a new project for Image called Crossover. So I want to introduce
Original
Donnie
title,
Cates,
Crossover, huh?
Dee Cunniffe, and John Hill. And I'm going to kind of step away and let you guys talk about it. So, Donnie, do you want to tell us why we're all here?
We are here because it is a beautiful day in San Diego.
Look at this whore.
Look at Donnie Cates looking like a rock star.
International. Once again, I just want to say thank you to everybody in the audience. You guys can't see him, but there's an entire room in front of us full of con attendees. I'd say give yourself some noise, but I guess they've all been given and you can't hear them over their masks. Yeah, thanks for being here. I don't know what to say. Certainly you guys by this point have seen the teasers and have seen the chatter online and seen the absolute silence from all of us and are probably wondering what the hell crossover is. I will tell you what crossover is to me.
More money in my pocket.
Crossover is the scariest goddamn book I have ever attempted to produce in my entire life, and that is why it is the most exciting thing that I've ever done. My teammates here will help me to try and elaborate and explain this thing to you, because again, it is insane. But the basics of it are
cosmic ghost dead.
Imagine
zombie.
Avengers Endgame, but as Cloverfield. And by that I mean this. In January 11th of 2017, Jeff Shaw and I released a book called God Country. And Jeff and I were sitting around in my apartment then.
Do you think he gave himself that coronavirus haircut?
Talking about, we had just done a signing, multiple signings here in Austin. And we were talking about and this is before I was at Marvel or anything, and we were talking about the nature of event books and how really the last story the story that's never been told in these like big summer event crisis
Who dat?
war in huge mega summer event titles. The last story that's ever been told is the story of that guy on the
Jesus.
sidewalk selling hot dogs, and how utterly fucking terrifying it is.
Oh, they gotta mute the
So we
F
started to
word.
think, and this
What?
is, again, mind you, 2017.
Oh, come on
and it
now.
has taken us this long to get our head around
He's
this.
whack.
He's Donnie
started-
Cates. He's the
crossover
bad boy of
started
comics.
life
Let him
as
swear.
An anti
Look at his haircut. How can he not be?
series. An event series told
I'm gonna
from the
close
point
my
of
eyes and
view
just go
of
at
an
it.
everyday person. It then began to, as real life events in the world started to unfold, and
Dude, I am already out of this.
Jeff and I started talking about it more. It has evolved into something.
He needs to stick to tweeting.
It has evolved into a comic that I promise you have never seen anything like before.
I doubt it. You like steal shit, Don.
The premise. Let's just get to that. What if one of those mega event, huge company, line-wide company, like across company crossovers, became so huge and so epic that it
Huge.
literally
Huge.
a portal opened up in the sky, and it collapsed into our actual world, into the world in which you and I exist, and we follow a comic book shop employee and a band of kind of misfit characters, some of which are new characters, some of which may be familiar faces, as they try and
Wait,
kind of get, or not try.
so
to,
you're gonna
they
have
kinda
a
get
book about a
swallowed
comic
up
book
into this thing and
store
try and get to the
worker
bottom of just
with
how
events
this
going
thing
on
happened.
and comic character. So you're
Along
it's
the
an
way,
event about a comic book store
it's
owner
kind of
and a comic
quest
with comic
series in the same way
superheroes.
that you would see,
I'm out.
like a Dark Tower series or a Lord of the Rings series, as they go on their quest to try and get to the quote unquote crossover kind of ground zero, where everyone is. Along the way, they encounter again faces both familiar or rather not familiar, new faces, new characters, and perhaps characters from other realities that have collided into our own.
This
I really
book,
have no idea what he
that
said.
this
makes
book
a
sounds
lot
like a
of promises,
jumbled mess.
and I hope that you will trust us enough to come back each month to see if we can actually pull this shit off. Because again, as I stated in the beginning, the most exciting thing about this book, and Jeff and I have had this conversation a million times, is that we have no fucking clue if this thing is actually going to work. But
So
that's what's so
disappointing that they're
exciting about it.
editing out the
Yeah,
F
we
word.
know we're doing something good.
Yeah, I like that. I like things so.
What?
Too.
I think that dude's drunk.
Because I
Something
remember a
good.
long time ago sitting down to write a story about an old man and a magical sword, and thinking,
That's called
anybody
Cialis,
read
right?
this? Does anybody give a shit?
An old man and a
And so
magical
it has
pork
that
sword.
Same kind of weird magical energy around it, and it's taken us so long to kind of get our heads around it, and it's also informed by a lot of things now that, like, it's funny that coming from me especially, to be saying that I'm writing an anti-event book, being as how I'm the guy who writes a lot of events at the Big Two. This book is not an attack on comic books. It is a celebration of what comic books can be, and is a celebration of what the art form can be, because at its core, it has a lot of things to say, and it has a lot of layers to it, meaning that
It's like
if
an
you wanna
onion.
come for a fun story and for just something for escapism and fun, that's absolutely there for you. If you want to start peeling back the layers of this book,
Pewing
and
back the
see
layers,
what we're
huh?
really talking about, and seeing
What the hell? How do you
metaphors
pew
that are in
back
the book
layers?
about
Pew,
things that are
pew.
going on today, that's there for you too. I mean, the idea that we're essentially following a bunch of creator-owned characters trying to survive in a world where everything around them is dominated by superheroes speaks volumes about our
Sounds
like
need
the well
as
getting dry.
independent artists to kind of make a stake and be loud, try and be as loud as the loudest Marvel and DC book out there, in a space that at Image that allows us the freedom to do whatever the fuck we want.
Donny Cates is trying to dominate the comic book market, apparently.
So it's crazy, guys. Am I getting anywhere close to describing what the this book
Next
is about?
month, Donny Cates announces a DC book.
Definitely. I think.
Oh, sorry, John. Go ahead.
Don't apologize.
Yeah, I mean, like when you called me to tell me the concept like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't really get it at first. It's like a
You
lot
and me
of the
both,
concepts
brother.
were like really out there, hadn't been done before, and it just sounded like such a big thing. It's like, how is this going to translate into something that's actually readable from the start? And after going through this first issue and into the second, it works. That's my opinion. I know you don't know if it's going to work or not. I think it works really well, and it's cool too because it's like it's a great concept. We're seeing a snippet of this world, and I think one of the other cool aspects of it is the techniques being used from a visual standpoint.
Absolutely.
You haven't seen anything like this before. It's really different.
Yeah.
And as we're going to go along in the story too, we're going to start seeing a lot of really different stuff in there that I think people are going to be scratching their heads.
I like different stuff.
Yeah, I think that's worth touching on. I was just going to say, D, from a technical standpoint, you've had to handle you've had to do so much storytelling on your end for the coloring of this book because
it's a coloring book.
The book is so much colored like our world, right? But then there's certain pieces of it that do you want to elaborate on what I'm?
Well, I don't know how far you're going to let me elaborate on.
Is that Jose?
Yeah, there's certain pieces of it that you have to color differently because there are elements in the book that don't.
The
come
stroke
from
gave him an
our
accent.
world.
Yeah. Well, I think you told me about this. I think about 2 or 3 years ago as well. One night after
a dungeon for a room.
Yeah,
that's his sex dungeon.
I was thinking about it for like 2.5 years and formulating ideas and hadn't actually seen the art at that stage, and I didn't know where Jeff was going with it. But it was
that Death Collection. It might as well be Jose.
Yes, this is exactly how I pictured it. And those first, 5 or 6 pages that we were working on, they took a long time because we were trying to create a visual language that we could.
What panel is that in your frame in the background? What comic is that from?
And I would know what you meant, and you would know that I'd be able to pull out that idea because there's so many different kind of things we're playing with. We've got, is it going to be in black and white? Is it full color? Is it line art? Is it other?
Right.
So it's every page is mentally challenging, but it's a great challenge. It's, when a page comes in, it's like, oh, how am I going to deal with this one? So
when I see, because when I say I genuinely you're not you when you read this book, you're going to see things that you've literally never seen before done in a comic book, and not just I mean, look, I'll just say this. I mean,
what's going to be so different?
Sorry, I'm getting a delivery. This is how we know we're not really.
I'm getting a delivery
because the postman just came and dropped something off. Well, you know what? Why don't I stop talking about it? And we have some pages to show. So why don't we show people a little bit about what it looks like and what crossover looks like and what the actual literal what would it look like if a giant summer, Marvel DC, whatever the giant crossover
Get off the
erupted
Wi-Fi,
in the
noob.
middle of our world? So why don't we show some art right now?
It is literally called crossover. Is that the Atom? Or no, that's Shazam. Dr. Manhattan. Gee, I wonder if that's Superman. The art looks really cool. Donnie.
So as you can see in there, D is having to absolutely distinguish between our world and that world, whatever that world is, and whatever is contained in there, and whatever shall I say gets loose from there, and it begins to interact with our very real people.
Do you not make enough money writing Thor and Carnage, Donnie? Thor and Venom, Donnie, and Carnage?
When you and I talked about it, I remember months would go by and we thought we knew what it was, and then I would call you and you'd be like, "Where the fuck did all this come from? Like, what are you doing? Like, you're getting out of this is getting out of control."
Oh yeah, it was out of control from the get-go.
Yeah.
But we've
oh look, they're taking a drink. They're playing your drinking game.
I know. I was just as daunted by you, but excited by the scope of it and the fact that we were taking on something that had.
You make all this comic book money. You can't afford a better webcam.
But yeah, how to do that was it took longer than I expected to even wrap my head visually around what we were doing. And this, when you, I got the first script, you'd taken it in such a cool.
This dude doesn't it doesn't even sound like he knows what's going on. It sounds like he's just trying to make up compliments.
And then give us a cast of characters that really showcased and allowed us to get into this world. But visually, it was definitely a challenge, especially working with D, whose colors are just bonkers. They're so perfect. I think we got it to the perfect place. It wasn't right. We had to bounce things back and forth and
pitched
a lot,
published and on this newsstand,
just to visualize this vocabulary that we were kind of creating. It was exciting and fun, and that's, like I said, that's how I know it's a good thing, because if or an awful thing, but I think it's going to be exciting.
Either which way, it's going to be. I promise you, either which way, it is going to be worth your time and worth your $3 every issue. I promise. Issue. It's an ongoing series. I'll say that.
I'll give it 5 issues before you don't even hear about it.
Jeff, I will say this. I have, in the history, Jeff and I have been working together now for about 10 years. And issue 6 of our first arc has a sequence in it that I don't think I have ever been crueler towards Jeff. When I'm not going to tell you what it is.
Coxies.
But issue 6 as one of the more, I'm just going to go ahead and say it, one of the more epic and I would argue historic sequences in comic book history.
What are you gonna have? Captain America and Superman
and
partake in a thumb war?
I did want to touch upon really quick what
Jeff
said, because it does have this. The book does have this.
They're gonna play volleyball
to
on a beach in American flag thongs.
You know, because in the same, I was inspired
like Top Gun
a little bit by
the Kenny Loggins song.
by the Leftovers, right? In the same way that the Leftovers is about this giant event that happened, but we kind of get glimpses of it, but then it's about how you live in that world now. You know, it's about like how that thing has affected the world. So like in the world of crossover, how does the idea that the notion of fiction has now kind of died, when every fictional character that you can ever think of is here in our world? You know, how does that affect, you know, society?
So it's like
how does that affect
the comic book store owners? Comic books come to life. Like,
you know,
what is? I don't know.
That's
maybe I'm just stupid.
You know,
it's 20 minutes in, and I'm still kind of confused about what the hell this is.
I mentioned earlier in the
I'm out.
That, you know, we see the crossover as if it were Cloverfield, as if it was a horror zone, because that's what it would be. You know, because in these big epics, you know, the superheroes never stop and explain to the normal common man why everyone is fighting. For everyone like you and me, it's horrifying. It's terrifying.
So you're gonna have your
And
heroes
so
hand out
what does
pamphlets.
that
This
do
is
to
why
the
we're fighting.
notion of heroes in this world, you know.
So you want to know why we're having this
To
battle?
walk down the street wearing a Superman shirt when Superman, you know, and Batman and Iron Man and all these characters erupted into the middle of the world and destroyed an entire city during their fight in our world? Like, you know, is it cool to be, you know, like a fan of those characters, to look up to those characters? You know, it fundamentally changes the laws.
I think Donny Cates is trying to destroy comic books very subtly.
The entire society, because when the notion of fiction gets shattered, well then so does the notion of reality. You know?
Fictional characters.
And there's some people like our main characters who still believe, and who still believe that these entities, that they're here for a reason, that they must be here for a reason, and that this thing, you know, can be something good. They are, you know,
I don't know, Donnie. Please tell me.
Some of the last true believers, you know, in a world that is confused, you know, because for the most of the rest of the world, this thing that happened was, you know,
I don't know. Again,
an atom bomb, you know. So crossover is a book that is, you know, an event book like an atom bomb, and I think that's.
I was waiting for to see the spit a loogie right there.
That we showed.
So that actually brings up a good point, because you guys, like, this book has a lot of themes that are very relevant to what's going on right now. Do you guys want to talk about it? Like, you know, there's a lot going on here. Are there like certain themes that you want to talk about that would get people interested?
Well, certainly for me, you know, I touched upon the idea that, like, the notion of creator-owned books, you know, trying to survive in a world dominated by you know,
I don't know,
two
Donnie.
titles is certainly something. But also the idea that, and I'll just say this as apolitically as I can, doesn't matter which side of any of this that you stand on, but the idea of watching from afar as
this sounds like that stupid like NBC show about the like comic book claims adjusters when the city's getting destroyed by heroes.
In the name of protecting.
What the hell is that show called?
They didn't end up doing it like that, though.
Right.
Something that is hard to miss.
But that's what it sounds like. It's like heroes in the real world type.
And I think that when
Thing
you
like
read
that.
the
Like
first
Kick-Ass?
issue, you will see that, you know, the people from this world, you know, I don't want to give too much away, but I'll say this, you know, it wasn't just a bunch of superheroes who got brought over during the crossover, the event as it's called. There were normal people too, like citizens just from over there, right? And
so you're gonna bring over like Lois
they
Lane and Jimmy
are,
Olsen and
I don't want to spoil too much, but they are
Cosmic
incredibly,
Ghost
Mary
Rider.
Jane,
incredibly
Cosmic Ghost
persecuted
Rider.
for being
Null.
mother,
Fucking Null will
for
show up
being
because why not push more Null
of
shit?
one of us, and that is a major theme that runs through the book
One
as
of
well.
us. One of us.
The notion of you know,
I don't know.
the notion of God, it's so hard to talk about it without spoiling things. One of our
That's the same excuse I use when I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
crossover, like
Mhm.
It's
where
so hard to
the portal
explain when
opened
I
up and kind
don't
of
want to
like
spoil it.
merging happened, took place in Colorado, and it's now like a demilitarized zone. And you know, one of our characters, our main character, whose name is Ellie, she had to get evacuated from there, and in the process lost a lot. And so, you know, one more of the themes of it is about trying to find your real family and about trying to get back home. There is a lot of, the more I write, there is so much of like a Wizard and of Oz kind of a fable.
A Wizard
to this
and of
whole
Oz.
thing, of a band of kind of misfit characters trying to go and you know, solve this grand mystery
Kind
of
of
this
misfit
other world,
toys.
while along the way bumping into,
Man, I hope you made a better pitch to the powers that be over at
familiar
Image than what you're
faces
giving here,
from
Donnie.
other realities that may have happened to have crashed into our reality and our book.
Are you talking about other Image characters? Are you allowed to say?
I'm not at liberty to say.
The book's called Crossover for a reason.
Oh,
Don't give it away. Come on.
Oh,
I'm not saying
big
shit.
reveal.
I'm not saying shit.
Oh,
will
I like
say,
how they
though,
blank
that
it
the
up the
main
second time.
character is a retailer. So if you're a retailer, as I once was, way back in the day, let me just give you a hot tip. That
Get your pens and papers ready, boys and
issue
girls.
6 is something that you're going to want to pay attention to. Issue 1, 2, please, as well. I am.
Let the speculation world explode on issue 6 of Crossover
It's funny
already.
because we came up with this idea before
Blip, blip, blip,
I
blip,
was
blip.
at Marvel, before Jeff Shaw was at Marvel, and it was just this kind of a not simple story, but you know, now that I am in the position that I'm in, being able to take the knowledge of having written a few events and continuing to write events at Marvel and using those same skills and that same kind of widescreen, enormous, insane breadths of characters and continuity and explosiveness, and bring that to an Image independent world has been exhilarating and terrifying. And
Do you think Image sent him that shirt just for this interview?
I just
yes.
goddamn
It looks
hope you
very
guys
new.
like it, because it is it's insane. You'll I think once retailers, you're all going to be getting the first full issue way before it comes out. So I highly suggest you tell your reader base at your shop what it is that we intend to pull off in this thing. And readers, once you read issue 1, I think you'll get a sense of what we're trying to do here.
Trying to do here.
Too much.
Well, at the risk of spilling too much, can each of you guys just kind of talk about what you were the most excited about this? Because we're trying to basically sell this book that hasn't come out yet, and we don't want to have too many spoilers.
You're doing a bad job of it if you're trying to sell this book.
What is it that you are the most proud of or the most excited, or what makes this project the most special for you?
I'll go.
Do it.
Thanks, Jose.
Yeah. I think pretty much every page so far has been a challenge. And, you know, as a colorist, you can find yourself getting into a rut where you're just doing the same thing page after page. You know, this is what it looks like. This is the costumes, and you're running through a book. But with this one, pretty much every page, I'm having to really stop and think about how I'm approaching the page. And, you know, the time it took to get to a stage where we were all comfortable with how I was handing back the pages, because there was a lot of to and fro with oh, this doesn't look right, can we try this, can we try that, and it took us a couple of months to get to a stage where we were
well, because we're again, that's not I don't want D to sell himself short. That's not because D's not doing a great job. D's are doing a phenomenal job. In fact, it's some of the best work I've ever seen him do. It's because when you're literally doing
seen him do.
And so, like,
I didn't know he had a stutter like that.
Guidelines.
He's a layoff
Starbucks.
Like,
or he's just not comfortable.
Scripts where I'm telling D, like, I know that this has never been done and I don't really know how to do it, but we're just gonna have to give it, you know, a couple different tries until we nail it down, you know. And then John Hill will jump in and say, like, hey, maybe I have a solution for how to pull that off, you know, because there is so much storytelling, you know. It's not, this book amongst almost, I think, any other book I've ever done is the most visually collaborative book that I've ever done, because, you know, Jeff and I are constantly talking. John Hill and I are constantly talking. D and I are constantly talking, and John's talking to D, and you know Jeff's talking to John, and everyone, because we are.
Your guinea pigs don't like this either.
That we've never seen done, and so we don't have a roadmap of how to do it. You know, we're like kind of inventing on the fly, and that's. I think D, I don't want to speak for you, but that is kind of the excitement, because it's fun, but it's also scary, you know?
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's because it's so challenging that it's fun. That, you know, you know, every page is a challenge, and I get to flex muscles I've never used before when I'm trying out the pages. So, and you know, as you said, it's fully collaborative, and it's probably one of the most collaborative books I've ever worked on. That it's not just Jeff telling me to do something, or me saying, here's what I'm going to do, and not taking feedback on it. And then John comes in and is like, here, try this way. And so there's so much feedback, and you know, there's
I have done a terrible job of selling this book.
Really it really feels like the most. I've always described like me and my collaborators as gangs, and you know, a gang mentality of like my team's gonna destroy your team kind of thing. And I think the crossover gang, which by the way I should mention, and I've neglected this entire time, our cover was colored by Dave Stewart. So very, very huge shout out, and he did a beautiful job on issue 1's cover. Dave Stewart also did the first cover of God Country, so the whole gang is back in that way. And I should mention our story editor on the book is a young upstart young man named Mark Wade, because a book of this magnitude, I had to call in for some backup. I needed someone that I could call and be like, hey, am I losing my fucking mind? is this insane? And Mark, being the encyclopedia of all of comics knowledge that he is,
Well, they haven't talked to Brian.
Has been a godsend.
No, they have not.
For helping out in that way. So yeah, John,
Yeah, no.
Jeff, you guys got any final words before we wrap it up? I know we probably all have signings to go to or panels we got to get to.
I wish you had
just
signings.
in general, like starting to work on this, like actually digging in. I mean, we've been talking about it, throwing stuff around for years now, but actually starting to dig in really reminded me of when we were working on God Country, because doing that book, that's definitely one of my all-time favorite.
Someone turned his power off.
Worked on.
Oh, there he goes.
And it's like, it's like coming home, working on this book with the guys, and everybody's like at the top of their game. We're all collaborating, and that's the whole collaboration thing
Teamwork.
is definitely a huge part of this, and it shows in the book too.
It's the best part of making comics. Yeah.
Everything ties together in this. You don't have anything that kind of sticks out as not really, here's where a production person came in and did something, or you don't see any of that. This is a solid story. And I mean, kind of the way you're describing things, Donnie, it sounds kind of scary. It sounds like, oh my God, this is just too big, but it's not. It's a big concept. And you're
how dare you look at my big
concept on the ground. It's you're seeing it from your viewpoint for the most part,
from a very human aspect. Like
exactly.
I was told a piece of writing advice a long time ago that I had to instill in this is the bigger you go, the smaller you should focus. And so the concept of crossover is the biggest, craziest, loudest thing that I've ever done, which is saying something. And so I think we all purposely went small in the actual storytelling of it, and go as small as possible in the motivations of our characters, and try and make it as personal and as human as possible, because it really is a story about humanity trying to survive in a world of the impossible, and in a world in which fiction is real, anything is possible.
Yeah, I was going to say
fictional character.
Roughly, not as beautifully as you put it, but roughly the same thing. Some of the things I like, working stories that I like telling the most. And
dude, is this guy hammered?
With Donnie and
God,
and
it
John,
feels like he's hammered, bro.
Have been, I think,
Comic-Con.
the best stories are human stories. You know? And I think sometimes that gets lost in the chaos of, especially in comic books. So you can do everything, and occasionally the people get lost in that. And I the most exciting thing for me about this story has been connecting with humanity, with ourselves, with relatable people, with relatable feelings, and how how we would react in any different number of crazy situations that would happen in a comic book. But connecting with the reader and myself as an artist, feelings and motivations and what have you. But I think the humanity of this story is
Are you a fucking traitor?
Big part of it. I think that's
in the same way that people who have read our book God Country, God Country has these big, huge backdrops of giant Kirby gods and giant swords, but you read it. It's not about giant swords. It's not about Kirby gods. It's about this father and son story. Crossover has an even bigger backdrop,
That's what this
an
book
almost
sounds
infinite backdrop of crazy.
Except for issue 6.
And
issue 6 is where you need to buy issue 6.
Just as God Country is not really about any of that. Is about one girl and her friends trying to find home and trying to find a place that they belong in a world where nothing makes sense anymore. You know. But yeah, I was gonna say, but it's also things that you never thought you would ever see printed on a page. The first issue included. You know, it's not a navel gazing memoir. It's not a it's not like anything. It's crossover. That's what it is.
Awesome. Well, we should probably wrap this up.
She sounds bored.
Let's go down the line and tell people where to find you and to follow you, so that when this gets announced and when stuff starts coming out, everyone can go and buy it.
Bored.
Yeah, I'm at Don Gates at twitter.com. I have not really been. By the time you're watching this, you've probably seen me talking about crossover a lot, and been putting out teasers and being very frustrating that I'm not answering any of your questions about them. So I apologize about that. You can follow me at Don Cates. Really quick, I want to give a shout out to our moderator,
Kyle.
Miss
Thank
Megan
you.
Cates, otherwise known publishing wise as Megan Hutchison.
Yes. My legal name. That is correct.
Who may or may not have a special announcement of her own at Image forthcoming, including yours truly. Meg, where can we find you?
I'm at @blackEM_art on all social media. And yes, we do have a book actually with this exact same team, except for you, Jeff. Sorry, I took your job on this one.
Yeah, not allowed.
Yeah, Jeff, get out of here. Nobody wants you here.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Jeff's got plenty on his plate.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, John.
That was so weird. Hello?
Uh-oh, Dee's muted.
So
Yeah, you're muted.
Tony Gates is with her,
At Dezoid on Twitter and nowhere else.
right?
What's that?
Yeah, and if
Johnny
you
Gates
want to
together.
read any book
You think
that
so?
he does,
They've got the
pretty
same
much pick up
tattoo right here.
literally almost any book in any
Little
comic book
skull and
store.
crossbones
D is probably
I didn't
covering
even
it.
notice that. Didn't even pick up on that.
And I should also say, if you want to look at any of John's work, walk into almost any comic book store and pick up almost any comic book for the design of it. John has probably done that. John, where can we find you, buddy?
I'm John J. Hill at both Twitter and Instagram. I don't do Facebook. And yeah, this is gonna be fun, guys.
Yeah, it looks like
Yeah,
that's
man.
his
And
wife.
I would ask people, I would ask Jeff where to find him, but he never tweets and he never does anything.
No, Instagram though. You can get me.
Yeah. You can follow him. I literally set up Jeff Shaw's Twitter account for him the night we came up with this book. Do you remember that, Jeff?
Yeah.
I literally made you your own Twitter account sitting next to you on the couch. I was like, I'm going to make you a goddamn Twitter because when this book comes out, you're going to promote this. And he's probably not going to, but that's okay.
I shouldn't make
will.
fun of his
I'll
stutter.
take care of it. I will
I'm an
always
asshole.
happy to be Jeff Shaw's hype man. But yeah,
Thanks.
follow
Thank
Jeff
you,
Shaw
folks.
on Instagram. Where?
It's at G.E. Shaw. I didn't get the Jeff Shaw handle. I was late to the game on that one too. So yeah. Yeah, G.E. Shaw.
All right. Cool.
Yeah. And,
Well,
and on Twitter, I am just, my Twitter, funny enough, I just became a retweet for stuff that we're working on. So,
You just became retweets
extension
for
of
stuff
your
you're working
Twitter
on?
account,
Yeah.
Dude.
Cool.
more or less.
Well, hey, thank you guys so much all for joining us.
You're welcome, Donnie.
I really hope that you will trust us enough to go and pick up crossover #1 when it comes out. whether you love it or you hate it or you think it's stupid or too insane, I can promise you it's worth your time. And I hope that you're all safe, and I love you guys. And thanks for supporting us, and for supporting comics, and for supporting local comic book shops, and for supporting Image Comics. And we'll see you soon.
Nice shirt. The plug. Well, that's it. Crossover, an Image spotlight.
Oh no.
A little bit of
I mean,
rough.
God Country wasn't bad. It's
Donny
the same
Cates has
deal.
good stuff, but I don't know if it's the way he was pitching it or just the idea behind it. I don't know.
I think it was a mixture of both.
It brings me back to going to when we went to WonderCon and we sat in the panel for Rebirth, and we were just sitting there making comments back and forth, destroying Rebirth, and then we both ended up kind of liking it. But I don't know. A lot of this feels like it's been done already.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna pick it up. I might wait.
Just get issue 6.
I'm going to. That's it.
Everybody get issue 6 of Crossover.
That's all I need.
That's all you need. Yeah. That's according to Donnie, that's all you need is issue 6 of Crossover.
I might go to the comic store and skim through it. But
Get your hands on that retailer early preview, huh?
yeah, if I could skim through it, I'd like to see it. I don't know. I've kind of bought everything that Donny Cates has written, though, so I don't know why. I guess I would stop now.
The art looks good. And if it's Cates, it's probably going to be a pretty decent story, but I don't know. I just think it's a lot of the way he is explaining it and dancing around it that it makes it not interesting.
Yeah.
And it makes I'll pick up issue 1, but it's not like something I'm like super jazzed about.
Mm.
I don't know.
Guess we'll have to wait and see.
I guess we will. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to say to put it. Like, it's essentially, like we said, it's a guy a girl who runs a comic book shop or works in a comic book shop, and something happens to where these characters come to our world and just start destroying things, and he's going to make you look at your love for superheroes in a different light. Cool? Question mark? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to wait, I guess. Thumb through it and give it a read.
Yeah, I have to wait and see, because that was not a strong sales pitch.
No, it was not. The only good thing is Donny Cates has the hype behind him. It doesn't really matter. People are going to swarm all over it just in case.
Yeah. And especially if from the way the art looked, if they're going to be incorporating, and from the sounds of it, incorporating Marvel and DC heroes and Image heroes and kind of...
I mean, the art was good in God Country.
Yeah.
It's the same team.
You're just going to show up and see like Rick Grimes and...
That'd be dope.
Rick Grimes taking on Superman, or Rick Grimes taking on Batman, or
fucking Coral out there fucking hacking motherfuckers up.
Rick Grimes versus the Punisher. Yeah, Coral out there hacking people up. Corbin says, I mean, I listened and it's Cates, but
I think that's how everybody kind of is right now on it.
He's like, I wasn't sold.
No. It was a rough pitch.
Says, I'm moderately interested, but the premise is kind of lacking. Yeah. And I just don't know if it was Donny Cates feeling.
He was trying to keep too much. He didn't want to give really anything away. until issue 6.
Corbin says, let's just say if it was Bendis with that pitch, had have been out real quick.
Yes.
Is it just that he's kind of an awkward... Every interview I've seen with Donny Cates, he's kind of an awkward dude. And he's kind of got that bad boy of comics image. And is it just that's coming off where he's trying to contain himself and he's trying to not give too much away? Or is it just really that book just does not sound that interesting?
I think he was doing so much to keep it under wraps that he didn't give you enough to really sink into and want it.
And it almost felt like he dominated that entire panel, and it didn't feel like the moderator had much to do. It kind of just felt like everyone else was there. You know, I would love to see some sketches, some original art. I think for an announcement that you're holding off and making at San Diego Comic-Con, or even anything associated with San Diego Comic-Con.
They showed pages.
Yeah, you saw some of the like pencils, but I guess final art's good too. I'm just nitpicking now.
Yeah.
But
well, I'm gonna go make dinner because that made me hungry.
All right, guys, I want to thank everyone for joining us on our last panel for night 1 of Comic-Con at Home. Hopefully we'll see a lot of you back tomorrow when we do the same thing for the Walking Dead panels and lots of other stuff. So, guys, thanks for watching. If you had a good time, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Make sure to, if you're new here, just checking this out and you want to know more about us, find us tomorrow night live, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on YouTube. We're interviewing Scotty Schwartz from A Christmas Story. He played Flick, the kid who stuck his tongue to the pole. We have a great time on our...
You probably catch it on another local podcast.
Nah, it'll be great. We have a good time on this show, so come check us out. And so for this special episode of the That's a Geek podcast, I'm Matt.
And you know who I am.
He's Kyle, and we'll see you guys next time.